Okay, you might notice today that we have two poems that we're going to be sharing together. One is called Love That Cat, and the other one is called Cat Smile. In Love That Cat, we are going to look for two specific things with this poem: sensory details and alliteration. So our learning target is I can list sensory details and alliteration. And in Cat Smile, we're going to be looking for an example of figurative language. We read Dharma by Billy Collins, and then we read Dog in Bed that was written by an 8th grade boy. These two poems are also written by students as well. So these are not adult authors, these are kid authors that we're going to look at today. In this poem, the author is going to give us some sensory detail, not just what we can see, but what we might also experience through our 5 senses. So if you hear that, you're going to write that down. And I also wanted you to review this. We haven't talked about this for a long time. In this poem, the author uses alliteration. If you know what alliteration is, could you turn to someone sitting next to you and whisper it to them? Alliteration. Okay, good. I'm hearing some people that are saying what it is, and some people are not too sure. Brendan, I saw your hand kind of shooting up there right away. Do you want to tell the class what alliteration is?
Yeah, alliteration is like it's like a sentence or something like that, but most of the words start with the same letter.
It's the repetition of a sound. You're going to hear that sound at the beginnings of the word. So that's what we're looking for in this poem. This author uses alliteration. Okay, here we go. Follow along. Love That Cat. Remember, it's written by someone in middle school, so close to your age. Velvet black fur curls up in the corner of a creamy couch. White-tipped paws stretch past white-tipped whiskers. Arching his back, he slips off the cushion and tiptoes across the wooden floor to where I wait. Glowing eyes stare into mine before he leaps to my chest, hinting until I stroke his soft coat. He purrs his love for me. I pet my love for him. In that poem, I can definitely tell where there's some sensory image, some alliteration going on. I'm even getting a tone, a sense of the mood of that poem, which we didn't put up here. We might talk about when we're all done. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes now to write some lines that you can pull from the poem, looking for sensory detail and alliteration. So take a couple minutes and write down what you can get. How many of you, show me by giving me a thumbs up, you found both? You found a sensory detail and you found alliteration in the poem. All right, great. Could you just turn to a neighbor and share what sensory detail did you find? What alliteration did you find?
Sensory detail, glowing eyes.
What did you find? Kenny, thank you. What do you want to share?
For alliteration, curls up in the corner of a creamy couch.
Excellent. Did you guys find that? Did you hear that? Yeah. Yes. Curled up in the corner of a creamy couch. Those words are not chosen by accident. He wanted to put that alliteration in there. Okay. We're going to move on now to Cat Smile. This one is written in shorter, it's short, but it's got 2 stanzas and then a couple of last lines. We're going to talk a little bit with this one about the structure. We're looking for an example of figurative language. So you guys know we've been talking in the last couple poems about simile, metaphor, and personification. We look for ways that authors compare things that are very different to give an image. This has some figurative language in it, but it's used a little bit different. It's a little bit tricky. I'm going to see if you guys can find it. So our target for this one is to find an example of figurative language. Okay? Ready? I want you to follow along. Cat Smile. My mood is not good. Tired, frustrated, angry. The day has been hard and saddening, littered with bad luck and shame. I collapse on the couch with a sigh beside my sleeping cat. She wakes, yawns, stares at me expectantly. I scratch her ears. she smiles with pleasure. The cloud that has hung over me drifts away. I want you to take a couple minutes and look for where you think there's some figurative language being used. Where one thing is standing in for something that it's really not. It's kind of used to create an image. See if you can find that. Write it down if you can find it.
It was either that or
Okay. What are you thinking, John?
In the second to the last line, it says, she smiled with pleasure.
Oh, okay. So it says, I scratch her ears, she smiles with pleasure. It's referring to the cat. So what kind of figurative language were you thinking it might be? Good, okay. So what else? There's another part in this poem where the author has described something by using something totally different to describe it, something that it's not. What do you think, Josh?
Maybe the cloud that's hung over her.
You are absolutely right. Did anybody else pick up on that? That very last two lines. Look at that again. It says, the cloud that has hung over me drifts away. Is he talking about a literal cloud over him, or is he talking about something else?
He's talking about...
It's a metaphor. Good job, Kenyon. That is a metaphor for something else. What is that cloud a metaphor for?
Like how he's angry and he's not... He's saying that the cat made him feel a bunch better.
That cloud was that. He said his day was he's angry, he was filled with shame. It was like just having a really bad day and this cloud's right over your head all day. That's a metaphor. Very good, Kenyon. And then the cat jumps up on him and he's just loving this cat. And then the cloud, that bad mood, just goes away. So this guy is very clever in his use of figurative language. He's calling his bad mood. Do you guys ever have days like that? Yeah. And sometimes just that love from our pet greeting us when we come home, it helps that cloud drift away a little bit. Okay, so we looked at the way authors use sensory details to give imagery, how alliteration can help with the way things sound, because poetry is meant to be spoken. We want to hear it. And a very creative use of figurative language, using a metaphor in poetry. When you guys get ready to write poetry, you will be using all of these techniques. It's great to try them out, see where they fit in your poems, and see what they can do in your own writing. Any last comments before we wrap it up? Great, thank you. If you could drop your poem off with me and head back, you're going to need your planner.